special speakers here, flying in from Silicon Valley, I believe for the first time? For the very first time in Taiwan. She just arrived yesterday. And I have to say, when I got introduced to her, I was like, oh my God. Speaking of autonomous driving, there are not a lot of people that I could talk to about software-defined vehicle, about V2X, which stands for vehicle to everything, by the way, about a lot of this embedded AI and all of this. But our next speaker, Mio Suzuki, is one of them. So in my first conversation with them, I was like, oh my God. This lady is something, and I have to get her to Taiwan because we have such a great bicycle industry that we can maybe track and already collaborate with. Raise your hand if you're from the bicycle-related industry here today. Yeah, wow, quite a few of them, maybe because of you. So next up, I don't want to waste any more time. She has got an amazing keynote to share with us. Who, I don't know whether anybody actually rides a bike. And Bonnie, don't listen to this, okay? Anybody has a track bicycle? Anybody? Whoa, okay, awesome. Track is obviously a big US important brand. She's going to tell us a little bit about Track. It's almost 50 years old. And a lot of bike companies are a little bit traditional, especially for something with 50 years old. How do you transform internally? Especially with all of this AI, blah, 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 blah. It seems like at least they're doing something interesting and meaningful over there. So next up, let's welcome Mio Suzuki. Woo!
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for being here and sharing the time with me. My name is Mio Suzuki, Director of Advanced Technology at Trek Bicycle Corporation. I'd like to extend my gratitude to Elisa, of course, and an amazing Anchor team for inviting me to this 2024 Innovation Summit today. Like, really, it's my pleasure to be here and to talk to you a little bit about how traditional bike industry and how and where the traditional bike industry and the technology coincides and cross paths. So in my presentation today, of course, I'll talk about how Trek consumes and then uses this technology toward the future product. And really what I'm hoping for is the presentation becomes a catalyst for bringing bike community and the tech and an investor community together and then start the discussion of the next generation of personal mobility. All right, so just a little bit more about myself. And then after listening to Alex and Jay, I realized that I forgot to put my former venture into triathlon as well. Used to do triathlon, Wisconsin, Ironman Wisconsin 2017. Thanks for inspiring me to mention that. I founded this advanced technologies team at Trek 3 years ago, back in 2021. Since then, we've done quite a bit of things. And my background is actually engineer by training, and then I have a specialty in computational physics, large data, or the data science, and a large-scale computing. I used to also manage R&D for a company that specializes in wearable IoT as well. I was born in Tokyo, and then I grew up in San Francisco Bay Area, and Bay Area is where I currently reside as well. So I look like this, very Japanese, but inside of me is very Silicon Valley, Californian, living in there. And additionally, I'd like to mention about the company that I am representing today, Trek Bicycle. We are on a mission to create a better world for ride. We believe that the products that we produce and launch to the world out there can be a solution or can become a part of the solutions to some of the most complex problems that world or the society is facing. So that could be urban traffic congestion, personal or the public health crisis, and also environmental awareness and environmental consciousness. Trek was founded by the father of our current CEO, Dick Berg, back in 1976. We are in Wisconsin, USA. And then if you don't know where Wisconsin is, it's a north central portion of the USA near Chicago. Trek, a lot of people know the flagship name Trek, but we also sell some bikes under the name Electra, which kind of deals with a lot of the lifestyle brand and beach cruisers. And then in Europe, we also have a brand, Diamant, that focuses on urban mobility or urban bikes. And globally, we sell into 100 plus markets today, supporting more than 5,000 retailers. And within the United States, we directly own 250 stores, which comes with a substantial market share that we get to enjoy. And I wouldn't also be hesitant to say that we are leading the sustainability initiative within the industry as well. So one by one, we're really trying to make the world a better place by getting more people on the bike. So as Elisa mentioned, we are almost a 50-year-old company. We've been producing high-quality bike that supports professional racers, whether it's in the road category or mountain category. And then, of course, we supply bicycle to any cycling enthusiast out there, even to amateur triathletes like myself. But I think we are at the pivotal point today. If we glance at the world and how quickly the technologies are evolving and then how quickly new kind of technologies are coming onto the scene, I think it's reasonable for us to ask whether or not if the industry has really evolved for the past many decades. And this is precisely the question that our leaders also asked 3 years ago. And it seems like there's a little bit of a stagnation, even with electrification. I think there's just a little bit of a slowness in our journey toward evolution and adapting the modern society. But stagnation creates opportunity. 3 years ago, Trek decided that, hey, maybe there's a new way to amplify our legacy by building something new, building some new legacy, right? So that's how Advanced Tech was born, and we're the unit that executes modern R&D centered around a lot of different technologies. And of course, we are aware of what's popular in the industry currently, but really, we're here to disrupt the industry as well, right? All right. So within the product organization or product business track, this kind of diagram shows how Advanced Tech might interact with surrounding product teams. So we really become the accelerator within our organization. Perhaps Advanced Tech is the one to introduce new technology, whether it's AI or something else. And then we're not just scouting technology, but we also create MVP ourselves too. So we have, in addition to just looking for the technology, we have the engineering function within ourselves to produce POC that can be handed off to category or production-oriented unit. And they can modify or grow the concept from there and then bring it to production. So that way we can really accelerate the whole development cycle. Next slide. There you go. And then perhaps what's a little bit different from Advanced Tech, from the traditional R&D unit in a company, is that we don't just work with the product team. We actually work with every single people or every single business in our company to promote the new use of new technology. So AI could be a good example, right? People know about AI, people talk about AI, but perhaps some businesses struggle in defining the use cases and then creating the POC that can really help them. So we collaborate with them and then address specific needs or specific questions they might have by creating a solution for them and shipping right to these internal partners. One of the most common questions that I get to ask, whether it's from internal teammates or external people that I meet, is how are you scouting the technology, or what are you targeting really? And I often mention this kind of diagrams, and we look for this knee of an exponential curve. So I intentionally look for technology that has a potential of becoming viral or widely adapted by mass audience. So we don't really go for something like quantum computing, which might be slightly too niche, and then we don't really focus on mature IoT technology that's already on the upper side of the curve, but we like to hit the knee and then scale it up or adapt it to the bicycle. business and then hope to scale it up. And the intention is really such that in the 3 to 5 years from now, the consumers are going to be immersed with these technologies, whether it's AI or etc. And when they do select a bicycle product, their habits that's already defined by other consumer gadgets out there would steer them toward the bicycle product that has a familiar technologies in them. And so with this kind of philosophy, we really position ourselves so that we are at the forefront of defining the next generation technology in the industry. So perhaps if you look at a bicycle or e-bike market today, you might see something like app integration, IoT, et cetera. That's great, we are aware of that, but our focus really is to look toward the future, look ahead, and then that to say in terms of connectivity, we might be looking at something like multimodal Gen AI. So what I wanted to summarize in this table is at the moment we are focusing on the 3 technology pillars. It's been true since 2021, and then AI, embedded engineering, and spatial computing. And really across all these technology, my goal is to contribute to the company's mission about getting more people on bike. Under each technology, there's a little bit of mention about how we might consume this tech, and then it help support the business. All right, the next one. And really, we don't just make bikes, and we do a whole lot of different things, anything that touches the emerging technologies. And then one of the example of that is creating and spinning off this unit that specializes in creating the 3D CGI assets. So what you're seeing here is a marketing assets that you can find on truckbikes.com today, but all of this is not a photo. This is a digital solution or digital assets that we created. And then as you can imagine, because this is a digital assets, we get to reuse this for the next AR, VR solution or any spatial computation projects that we might have. And then because we are a traditional company and then we don't have all the technology that we need, when it comes to topics like spatial computing, et cetera, we partner with somebody who has that technology or who's leading in that space. So one of the examples may be that we partner with a company like Meta, which has this 3D next generation spatial computing research efforts going on, and then we joined them, and then we are doing a lot of interesting things with that one as well. And then, of course, we're just like any other company on the planet today. We are heavily investing in AI as well. And then when it comes to AI, it's not just about the traditional machine learning, deep learning, and then the general LLMs. These days, we're big on AI agents. I think it's big on a lot of people's agenda, perhaps. But unlike traditional IoT or app, when the AI agent is applied to devices, the device can not only serve the information to the user, but device can think and act on behalf of the user. And that's really revolutionary. And if you look at the markets today, companies like Apple, Meta, they have already launched the products with this idea of deploying a small enough language model onto devices. So then I thought, why not track? We can also do that. We can also ingest technology like this and support a lot of people's global adventures. And that's exactly what we're doing. In our case, we are creating this concierge or digital expert that can live on the next generation of e-bike, which can use the tool, which can call the tools to there's navigation, trail information, et cetera, and then really provide a personalized premium experience to the users. And then that is not just like a what-if scenario, but we're actually executing a project right now. And if you are going to be in Las Vegas, we're going to be in Las Vegas in January as well at CES. So if you're curious about how Trek partner with an AI company and then deploy the small language solution onto a small enough hardware, love to talk to you at CES. And all those AI agent solution or AI agent example that I just showed, that was still embedding AI onto a bike. And then we can actually take a second look at or a different look at how e-bike can further evolve if we were to integrate the AI or any software in a software-defined manner. So e-bike today, if you look at the electronic spaces, has these three components. But we know that consumers do care about adding more safety features, et cetera, et cetera. So there's an opportunity to upgrade the system. The question is, how are we going to do that? One way to think about it is, instead of doing what we have always done, and then making the traditional e-bike system, and then adding a solution on top of it, we can radically shift how we construct e-bike from inside out. And then one of the use case of this software-defined system thinking is trying to apply them in steering. So the steer-by-wire, this is not necessarily a new concept. I know there are car companies who has already been doing that, but this is just an example of, hey, maybe we can go away from the traditional mechanical system and then apply the more of a software-defined approach. And then what that really does, come on, next slide. Hold on. What that really means is we right now have an opportunity to radically think about different ways of constructing e-bikes. And then perhaps that might give us a further opportunity to disrupt the supply chain completely, because we're not competing for the same parts. We're replacing the mechanical solution with different kind of electronics and software component. That is a different way of creating the bike. And then because we can address things like stability or safety really quickly, perhaps there's an opportunity for us to reach to the market that is yet to be tapped. So there's a new opportunity for increasing the audience size. And then of course, because this is software defined, adding features or upgrading the features can be done by software upgrade. So quicker pace of product introduction, product innovation, and then also listening to the consumers a little bit more and integrating that. So all of that can be done today. And then we internally, we are really trying to sprint as fast as possible by setting ourselves up to execute a project about 50 to 100 times faster than the category team, and then such that Trek can enjoy the outputs from this unit. And then because my team also happened to have a pretty wide autonomy in scouting the talents, and then because the kind of projects that we do require talents with special niche skills, we go all over the globe to look for the best talents and the best partners. And lastly, come on. What I wanted to conclude this presentation with maybe the questions or stating what I need help with from the audience that gathered today. So really what we are looking for is trying to create a legacy that we can build together, and that would enhance the industry for the next 100 years. And then if you are representing the tech companies today, my ask is that you guys will look at us, not just as a bike company, but as a new kind of a consumer electronics company, and then we'd love to co-innovate with you along that line. If you're a semiconductor industry, I would love to talk to you. One of the bottlenecks that I'm facing today is finding the next generation chip that can run large small language models, right? So I'd love to talk to you more about that one. And if you're investors, I want you to realize that we're not just making bike. We are really trying to make the better world for a lot of people. And we are also trying to encourage thinking of investing in the ecosystem of the solution that can be integrated into modern lifestyle of tomorrow. So that is going to be the wrap up of my presentation. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Woo! Wow. Anyway, let's stay here for a bit. Thank you so much. We're going to get the stage ready for our panel, but I want you to stick around here so that we can have a little chat. And maybe I think our audience might have some questions. That was amazing, right? I was quite inspired standing up there. I was like, wow, this lady, she was like, don't look at us just as a bike company. Like a few keywords that I heard from her presentation: ecosystem, co-creation, radical. There are a lot of possibilities. You started this team back in 2021?
Yep. Yes.
Was it like an easy thing for you? How did that happen? Like, we have many 老板, chairman, chairwoman from bike companies around here. To have something like this, how can you give us maybe some tips or some inspiration?
Yeah, you just have to be stubborn. Maybe other way to say is that you have to be really determined. And then I think Jay really put it nicely about setting the ego aside, right? So it's not really about my personal passion or like things like that. It's more about like just if you observe what's happening in the world of technology today, and then if you look at where bike industry is, where is the opportunity? And then if you are able to set aside all the ego and look at what it takes to survive for the next 100 years, I think this, the plan's going to come together.
Let's build that legacy together. I'm so glad that this brought you here to Taiwan, and I think we have many potential partners here around technology, around semiconductor, so hopefully you'll get to connect with each other during the break or